Why, hello, everybody. This is Eric Vierthaler of Vierthaler Studios. Back again for the next episode of Sit Down by the Fire. I'm here with my co-host, Ty from Junebug Films. And we are here with our next special guest. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Marcus Mussey, but I'm better known to many as Owl. That's right. Yes, Owl in Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2.
Who?
Pooh is my friend. I mean, obviously. I mean, I am his thinker. I do all his thinking for him because, after all, I'm not giving anything away here. He is a bear of little brain. Somebody's got to do it.
Certainly, yeah.
I want to say thank you so much for this little fireside chat. I am in Owl's lair here. Well, when you asked me to do this, I was thinking to myself, you know what? Owl will be there. That's a defo.
Oh.
Yes.
Well,
I want everybody to read Owl about it.
of course. Well,
Yeah.
wow, boy, are we full of some howling puns?
Yes. Right.
And I mean, it's definitely better than to have it all be a piece of poo.
Yeah. Yes, without a doubt. Yeah. Don't worry, everything will be all right. So let's try.
So anyways, and so take us back to the beginning. What exactly inspired you to pursue acting and just the film industry in general?
Right. Well, I mean, I've actually loved the idea for quite some time, but it's not how I started off. And so when it gets to when you come to realize that you should do what you want to do rather than the things that are put in front of you, or things that you feel you should be expected to do, then it can feel late, but it's never late, and always grasp what you want to do at any one time. Don't say it's ever too late. So I came into acting really quite late, but obviously if you need to get trained, you need to put some money together to be able to afford the training, but also afford the living whilst you're doing the training. So that takes a few years, and you've got to grind your teeth away and get that sorted out. And so then I trained, and then I started doing, and once I finished training, I started doing you have to do everything that you possibly can to get in front of a camera, get onto the stage, and actually just do stuff, because only then can you. There's no point in sitting there thinking, I'm going to pick and choose. You don't have an opportunity to pick and choose. So you have to do, and especially if you come into it late, you don't have a chance of finding your way. You need to get going straight away. Just start doing anything and everything. But then luckily things came my way, and I really was quite, lucky here. I mean, you try to get in touch with as many people as you can and put yourself out there. But then things did something. So there was all sorts of interesting things like Edinburgh Festival, and which is of course known around the world. But other interesting films. It was 2 years after training that I did my first horror film, which was in Finland, in northern Finland, in the middle of winter. It was minus 35 degrees, and in Celsius. I have no idea what that is in Fahrenheit, but I know it can get cold in the United States as well, but it was damn cold, and it was dark. It was dark for 23 hours a day, and and I died in a crazy way in that film. And I'm not going to spoil it, but I do die in the probably one of the best ways anybody's ever died on film.
Oh, I can imagine.
So you beat
Yes.
you beat all of Sean Bean's record of the craziest dying just in one scene, right?
Oh, yeah. It is crazier than that. It is. And yeah, I don't want to spoil it because the film itself is fantastic. It's nuts, but it's fantastic. It's a list of all sorts of taboos, and it's breaking them one by one. It just does them all, but it does them all in this humorous way in order to expose the whole situation. And we have got all sorts of things going on there. We had all sorts of explosives, and it was realized at one point that, oh right, we're not going to use these explosives, but they're explosives. You can't take them back with you. You have to use them because you're not allowed to take them back with you. So we just blew up cars and stuff. I mean, it has to be used. It's unsafe to even have them without using it. And so, yes, it was. But so their cars blowing up for no real reason at all. But it doesn't matter because the film is nuts. The film is crazy.
It might have been made in Finland, but that sounds like the most American movie ever, right?
That does, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, sometimes we just blow stuff up. And hey, even in England, you guys do that too. So blow stuff up.
I know. It can be like that. But anyway, the premise of and I'm not going to really spoil the story because the story actually is way more sophisticated than at first sight. But it does involve a 8-foot tall rabbit monster who is only interested in doing what rabbits want to do, which is have a lot of sex. And
just like humans.
Yeah, I know. But the difference is that the 8-foot rabbit monster is kind of dangerous because of this. But the important thing is it's not his fault. He's only what he is, which is a rabbit.
Well, this is
because the Finnish government has got this secret operation going on whereby they're kidnapping people, taking them into the forest, injecting them with this serum, and changing them into rabbit monsters. Don't ask why. No, because if you're asking why, you're asking the wrong question, and also you're not really the audience. So what you got to do is not ask why, and just accept that it's happening.
I guess the rabbit's name is Humpy.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
I guess the rabbit's name is Humpy.
Oh no! The rabbit's name is in fact Bunny the Killer Thing.
Okay.
I don't know.
That is fitting, yeah.
Okay, well, we might have to watch this.
I think you will enjoy it. You will enjoy it a lot because it's completely bananas.
Hopefully it's.
And
you know where it's streaming?
So that's the first horror film I did, and then I didn't do another one for quite some time, and then all of a sudden I started doing interesting ones: Tooth Fairy 4, Queen of Pain, and I get killed in that in a crazy way. I get killed in Shockwaves, which is less of a horror and more of a disaster film. And then there's all sorts of other things like Dinosaur Hotel 2, Dinosaur Prison, Dinosaur Hotel 3. Oh goodness, there's so many that I can't even remember. But I get killed in a sort of rather bizarre way in Three Blind Mice, and so I was doing all of these sort of things, and then I was going to be a news reporter in Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. But for various reasons, that scene got cut. And I was thinking, oh, that's a real disappointment. That would have been fun to do. And then I got a call, and then it's right. Oh, right, okay. What we want you to do is we want you to be a champagne drinking redneck in that, and it was important that I was champagne drinking rather than beer drinking, because if you whack somebody over the head with a beer can, it's not very cinematic. But if you do it with a bottle of champagne, then it looks fabulous.
Of
So,
course.
so we, so I had to be drinking. All right, no, this is empty. Good, fantastic. Right. So there's this other guy with an axe, and this other guy with a big hammer, and then there's me with a bottle of champagne. But but that can do damage. You can kill somebody with a bottle of champagne if you wanted to, but of course it doesn't kill poo. Yeah. So I had that little part in the first film, and then they brought me back for Owl. And Owl is a hell of a character because, as I said before, Owl is the thinker and the planner and the one who comes up with the reason and the plan as to how the animals, Pooh, Piglet, Tigger, and Owl, are going to get back at the humans that have made their lives a misery. And who would like it if you lived in the forest and then all of a sudden humans decide they're going to come along, chop down the trees, move into the area, or even just hate you just because you're different. You're living there. You're not causing any hassle, but then they want to stick their nose in and interfere, and they've already caused you lots of hassle. This humankind who have betrayed you. Humans have yet again done what they always do, which is say they love you, say they care, and then stab you in the back, betray you. And this causes a great, which has to be worked through. And that is what Owl is planning. I got somebody, some people writing to me going, you know what? I understand Owl. Owl isn't evil. Owl is just fighting back because he's been so ill-treated, and it's not, and with all the others, and he's fighting back because he's been betrayed, and now humans want to move in and flatten all the place where they live, and they want to hunt them down because they're different, or they just have a sort of different idea about things, and and there's a line drawn in the sand, a red line, and they have yet again gone over it after having committed themselves to saying, well, these animals were, and then let's not get away from the other fact, which is emerges. And I'm not going to give the story away, but you know what? Humans are responsible for the whole situation in the first place.
Yep.
And then they've done what they always do, which is make a mess and then just wash their hands of it and walk away and pretend it doesn't exist, just because it's inconvenient to accept.
So yeah, you could basically say Owl's the puppet master.
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes. In the way, because at the end of the day, he's only a bird, and he's not a very strong bird, really. I mean, he can spit and he can peck, but it needs the tiger and the bear to do all the most of the heavy lifting on this one, because he's only a bird. I mean, I know there was one reviewer was moaning because they said, "Oh, he doesn't look much like an owl. He looks more like a deranged vulture." But you know what? If you'd have had a life like him, you'd look like that.
Well, which is fair, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes. You see, the thing is that these
I mean,
hard lives,
I mean, hey, I
and
mean,
it's
look at
not just living a hard life. It's the mental stress that can make you old.
right. Well, I mean, hey, I mean, I've heard people say that with Keith Richards, they just cast him in a zombie movie. They don't need makeup. But if you look like life like Keith Richards, then you look like that too. So
Exactly. And he doesn't even need to play a part. He just needs to he just needs to shuffle around, going, "Oh." I mean, you got well, wasn't it that Johnny Depp?
yeah.
Johnny Depp. It was like, well, actually, I was just
Oh,
being Keith Richard. He was like, "Oh my, yeah, oh Melvin, we'll go right." It's like, yeah.
well,
There we
yeah.
go.
Basing the entire character off Pepe Le Pew and Keith Richards. I mean, genius.
Definitely, yeah.
So, I guess what would be a dream role for you?
Well, you see, I like the idea of this whole. There's this old thing of power, and then the ultimate hubris. So it's this. I mean, so it's this sort of Macbeth-like situation, and I love that. So I would love to play characters like that who get this who build up over a period of time this tremendous ego, and then it all comes crashing down in the end. And there's also, you know what, I mean, there is roles like Meet Joe Black. You've got Anthony Hopkins playing the businessman who is about to die. And I watched that again recently, and I was thinking that that sort of role, it's absolutely fantastic. There's the new Wolf Hall that is out. There is The Mirror and the Light. Episode 1 is out, and we've still got 5 episodes to go. Written the Hilary Mantel thing, and Cromwell in that. I mean, I've only seen 1 episode, but it is perfect. And I am not in my 20s anymore, so it's going to go in that direction to the older characters.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just life. I mean, I can't get away with that. For me to play a younger character is obviously absurd. But so it has to be age appropriate. And in 10 years' time, that would just be magic.
You know, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe you'll get. Sounds like basically it would be really fun. You could play a Bond villain or something too.
Yes. Oh, yes. You see,
I could see. I'll be bold here. I think you would be just looking at you and everything and seeing the performance in Winnie the Pooh. I think you would have been a better Blofeld than Christoph Waltz. So
well, that is very nice. Just very lovely for you to say. I mean, the thing is that I would love that. That would be absolutely fantastic. And I would, and the other thing is you can really bring the bean. You can bring the beans to the table if you like. Although I think it spoils it if you bring too many beans to the table, because there have been some Bond villains. I just don't really want to go in it, who bring too many beans to the table. Then it becomes a little bit. It just becomes too much. Because then what's happening is it's no longer rooted in reality. I mean, we all know that the whole thing is fantastical, but the point is that you have to root it in reality, because otherwise it starts becoming a bit silly.
You have to have verisimilitude.
Yes, yes, that's right. Because then you lose the reality of it.
Mm-hmm. So,
But I mean, the thing is that you've got there've been some really odd things that are happening in Bond recently,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so I mean, so for example, okay, in Skyfall, what does Bond have to do? Bond, but okay, so the villain, there is the data, and they are releasing the data of all the spies, aren't they? And Bond has to get that data back.
right.
Does he do that? No. So he actually fails. So the first thing is he fails. Right? He doesn't actually do what he has to do. Right? At the beginning, it's a kind of, right, you have to get the data back. That is your mission. Okay. Does he complete the mission? No, he completely fails. Okay. And what else does he manage to do? Oh, he gets M killed as well. Okay. So he fails. So he fails in that as well. Okay.
Okay. Skyfall probably was one of the last, good ones, but I never really thought about that. Yeah, he does. He fails twice.
And actually, M would probably take the view that, okay, if I die, I die, but at least you have to complete your mission, because that's the actual whole point. Okay. Right. And so he just fails with that. But then also, and then it becomes, it's like, oh, right, yeah, we're in this house and this is my old house. Now, the thing is that now Bond is dead, and then it's, oh, right, yeah, okay, well, James Bond isn't really his name, because that's just the code name of the guy who plays who is 007.
Yeah, and Eric, if you're going to bring up the codename theory, I think we can debunk that. So,
which the thing is that they can't do that, because we've already been to his house, and there he is James, and when he was a child. What's going on there, right? Okay, so but the thing is that so they can't claim that, because we've already been to his house, and he's James Bond in his house.
And even in the original timeline, if you really want to call the Daniel Craig era a reboot or anything else, there's other things where he's not the same. He's supposed to be the same character, because there's so many references to Tracy and all the other ones. So it's like, no. And now I've even heard rumors that Eon Productions, I want to know, where is the new James Bond movie? It's been 3 years since No Time to Lie. Oh, I'm sorry, No Time to Die came out. And yet we haven't heard anything. Like, I remember Daniel Craig, like, oh, Pierce Brosnan's out. And then next thing we know, oh, Daniel Craig's Bond, So where's the new James Bond movie?
Well, all we can do is wait and see. But the thing is that, yeah, anyway, so, but getting back to the whole point, yes, Bond villain, that would be fantastic. Oh, you've disappeared.
Yeah, I'm guessing he probably had to go do something. But hey, I mean, you got to do.
Right. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. I thought okay, right. I thought that he.
Oh, that's all right.
He just, yeah, something had gone wrong. No, okay.
But anyways, yeah. I mean, I can imagine to play a James Bond villain definitely would be a lot of fun. And I mean, it also does help, knowing that you already do have that experience, like playing the bad guy in a movie. So.
Yes. Or and flawed, because again, in Dinosaur Hotel 2, I mean, the character is flawed, and he's not interested in fixing his problems. All he wants to do is be a successful TV presenter. and then when I don't want to spoil the plot again, but he gets into a situation where he then decides to turn the tables and so forth, and then so yeah, so that is always an interesting and fascinating thing, because then you can really bring humanity into it rather than have a one-dimensional character.
Yeah.
Everybody has got all sorts of aspects to them, and in a film you've got 90 minutes or 2 hours, and of course you don't have all that time on the screen for yourself. You've only got sections of it. And in the scenes that you have to bring an entire life, experiences, and alive, and people have to know you in that way, and that is marvelous, really. That's the
Oh
fun
yeah.
of it all.
Oh yeah. Certainly so. And yeah, and you also even were mentioned earlier a lot like about, starting late, and how it's not too late. And yeah, but yeah, I mean that is definitely really spot on. And I mean ultimately the only time when it truly is too late, is when you are dead. And I mean, as long
Mm.
as you are still alive, you you do still have that chance. And man, it just breaks my heart whenever I hear people say, "Oh, well, I want to be an actor, but my age,"
Mm.
and it's like it doesn't matter what your age is. It's like it's like Tobin Bell, who's best known for playing Jigsaw in the Saw movies. He didn't finally make it until when he was in his 60s.
Mm. Yeah, and especially, but I would say it for everything, but especially in acting, because there's always a part, whether you're young or old. There's always somebody who has to be that person.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So and it's with all different types of art as well. You can just do it. I went to a Van Gogh exhibition in the National Gallery on Sunday, and it blew my mind. I mean, it's not like seeing the picture. Hello, you're back. It's
Hi,
not like,
Hey,
Matt.
suddenly you disappear.
I mean, hey, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
But no,
Yeah, which is fair. Yeah.
um, it blew my mind because it was you see photos in books and on the TV, and you go, yeah, okay, yes, yeah, very interesting. But when you see it the real one, this far away from you, and it's the intensity of it, and and you stare at it, and it starts swirling and moving in front of you, and it's almost leaping out at you, because in a big 3D manner, even though of course it's oil, so he seems to have just pasted it on, so it is a 3D thing in the first place, but it sort of leaps out at you, and then you're thinking, wow, this was painted with such mania, but it's mania which is coupled with incredible skill and talent at the same time. And I could almost see the back of his head in front of me, and he's sort of manically doing it, and he's turning around and going, this gives you permission to have no limits.
Yeah.
and it's that sort of crazy. I was thinking, I want one of these, and I was thinking, okay, that ain't going to be very likely. I mean, it's probably it's probably about $50 million each, and there's about 50 of them in here. Yeah, unless I grab one and run out the door, I'm never going to own one. So I'm going to have to
That's not advised.
take this moment. I'm going to take this moment. No, but even if I owned it, I wouldn't be able to afford to insure it. So I mean, I'm just going to have to stand here, and I'm going to have to drink this in. And I know that in about an hour's time, I'm going to have to leave and not see it again for years until maybe the next time it comes around.
Uh-huh.
And so I was going through that process, but I can still go back there in my head now and stand there in my mind's eye and go, there are no limits. I
Nope.
mean,
Well, speaking of limits, kind of a nice little transition for another question. I always like to ask the guests, but when you win one,
hey,
what's
When?
your speech? What's your speech?
oh right, okay, yes, yeah. What I would my speech, if I was to win one today and I have to then go and do a speech, I think I would be talking about this whole thing of the revealing the truth and have no limits. I mean, obviously, you have to take this in context. You have to have certain limits if you're outside walking down the street, because otherwise you get arrested and you're just a menace for everybody. But but what I'm talking about inside a studio or on set or in if you're doing your painting, I'm talking about no limits when it comes to revealing truth from within, and that I think that's what it's all about. That's when you dig deep and search for the interesting things. That's when it becomes fun, but not just for yourself. It becomes fun for people to watch and look at and compare with themselves. That's what it is, because people just talk about acting and they like quoting things which maybe make sense in one context, but are misquoted in another context. So people go, "All right, all you do is you learn your lines and you stand there and you just say them and you go off." Okay, yeah. Well, if that was the case, then why would people watch television ever? Because it would actually offer them nothing. And or go to the theatre or go and see a band or 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 go to the cinema, because then it will be okay. Well, it touches you deeply. That's why it's compelling. If somebody's going, oh yeah, this is it's it cinema is dying, and well, I mean, you have to produce something that's compelling that then makes people want to come and engage, because it's not just you performing to people, it's the communion. I mean, okay, in the cinema it's a slightly different thing, because of course you're not physically there, but 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 I think in people's imagination you're there, and so you have to, and the audience is part of the show. People should get involved. I want people shouting and throwing tomatoes and actually getting involved themselves, feeling that this is they are part of what is taking place, rather than just sitting there watching and not being engaged, but just watching and not being actually mentally and physically engaged in what's taking place. That's the boring thing. It's the drama when people become part of the experience.
Yeah, and a lot of people have said that Hollywood, movies are dead now and everything. I argue different, because we said this back. They said this back in the '70s. And then a little, I mean, a movie that no one has ever heard of came out, Star Wars. No one's ever heard of that movie. I mean,
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, like it totally can't be people having lightsabers in it.
Yeah, and then Superman 1978 also came out, and those
Mm.
two movies definitively saved Hollywood.
Mm.
Yeah, and I say that's what's going on right now. It's just a transition. You need that one movie that's like people go, wow, like who knows? I'm jealous of people who got to see Star Wars in theaters when it premiered.
Mm.
So,
Definitely, yeah.
Yes, I did. I was a youngster then. I mean, it was astonishing, of course. Never seen anything like, nobody had ever seen anything like it before. And that was the thing. It was mental. It was bananas. Yes. Yeah, that was good. But then you but then you can. I mean, I saw The Substance recently, and it starts off quite normal, and it becomes more and more surreal as it goes on.
I do want to see
And
that. That looks pretty good.
Yeah.
It is very, very enjoyable. It's really, really good.
And
But
I liked Demi Moore as an actress.
But it's okay for it to get surreal, and it gets very, very surreal. It's also pretty violent, I think. So be prepared. I mean, it's all right, but if you don't like a great deal of it, then it can. Yeah,
mean,
there are bits which go.
I mean, it's okay. I don't think it's gonna. It's okay. It's totally not going to influence me to do that stuff, unlike what some people say.
No, but it can be painful to watch.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Like when I saw Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 in theaters, there definitely were some moments where I was like that when I watched it in theaters, like, and ironically, it was one of your scenes. It was when you had that person pinned down, and then like you, which then was kind of like acid. I'm like, oh, that had to hurt so bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's the thing. It's the talons, but the talons have to come up like this, right? Because otherwise I'm not. Otherwise I'm not using my. Yeah. It's just the crate. That yes, it's any opportunity to be rude. Yes. No, but yeah, there are painful moments there, and I think that's the other thing about the sound and the music. The music, I think, is really terrific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, music is so important. I just recently watched the John Williams documentary on Disney Plus. And they're saying that he really is nervous for music for film right now because it's all done on computers. And like he says, there's something more organic about an actual orchestra versus an actual computer. And he says he understands it's expensive, but like he says that the actual orchestra just sounds more real. We've all seen the AI generated art.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's good, but it's not real.
Yeah, which at the same time, you can't get more real than real.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
and it's important because it's the music that dictates what people are going to feel at any one point.
Well, even going back to Star Wars, if I sit there, say, start doing da 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 da, forgive my off-keyness. I'm not a professional singer as much as I pretend to be. But you instantly know what I'm doing. Or if I do dun 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 dun,
Yes.
Yeah, we instantly know. Or if I sit there hum the Superman theme, you know what I'm doing. So exactly.
Yeah, and the music dictates what's going on. It's in Superman, it's the gloriness of I mean, in Star Wars, you can hear this whole, it's alluding to the sort of Nazi stormtroopers, and it's the marching, and it's there, and it's going, this is what's happening now, right? And I know you can see it, but now you can feel it too.
Well,
Because
and
yes.
I've often said that one of my favorite film composers is Ennio Morricone, which because what I loved about him is it didn't matter like if he did a movie that, let's just say, wasn't up to par, you know, the music was always good. You know, he made the movie better because of his music. Like he makes The Exorcist 2 at least a good movie, not a great movie, but the music is good. So you know, I mean, yeah, some of it's some annoying music, but it kind of fits the music. It kind of fits the movie. Like if you had that in another movie, it might actually, people might say, "Wow." So Ennio Morricone is my favorite film composer because he just, wow, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. And yeah, while on the topic of horror movies, because you mentioned Exorcist 2, but yeah, and I mean checking your filmography, I saw you did Killing Tree, which I actually saw, and yeah, and of course the Winnie the Pooh horror movies. I mean, a lot of what you've done are horror movies, but yeah, before doing all these horror movies, were you yourself ever a fan of horror films?
Well, from time to time, but it wasn't something I went out of my way to do, to go and watch. I mean, there, years and years ago, I used to watch all sorts of stuff, and I can't hardly remember that now. But it was a lot of stuff. I can just maybe remember one or two names which stand out. But I mean, you wonder whether you think, right, okay, look, there's so many good things to watch. I'm not going to go back and find Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town or anything like that. because
Well,
with all respect, there are probably better films than that. I suppose that every film deserves to be watched once, hopefully.
Yes,
Yeah.
as someone who has seen that movie, because I was curious about it, because Billy Bob Thornton, it was his first movie.
Oh, right.
Oh,
And as somebody, and then, okay, I will admit it, I was a blockbuster. I was a teenage boy. I see a movie called Biker Chicks in Zombie Town. It's
yes.
oh, cool.
Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town.
Yeah, well,
that is fair.
It can't get better than that. The name sells it.
Yeah, exactly. So, especially for a teenage boy, like, oh, I want to watch this movie. Dad, can I pick up this movie? He sees the rating. Okay, yeah.
I'm really surprised because I thought that he would have said no.
Well, this was at Family Video, and sometimes Family Video, I don't know if it was like the employees that just didn't care. Like, I'm getting paid, and they would put like movies that should not be in this section. Like,
yes.
Oh gosh.
Like some of it was, look at the title. This does not belong in the family section.
It kind of says it all. I know. Or it's like one of these people who just sort of moves it from here to there.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So so The Killing Tree. That's right. So The Killing Tree was a lot of fun. Actually, the original name for The Killing Tree was Killer Christmas Tree.
Okay.
And I don't know why they changed it, because I actually really prefer, when I'm talking to my friends, I still refer to it as Killer Christmas Tree because I think it's funny. So you've seen it. Have you seen it?
I did not see it yet, but
Oh, right. Oh,
if
right.
if it's on Tubi, if it's on Tubi, I'll watch it on Tubi.
It's mad. I mean, I can't even think of any other way. So what it is that I'm a serial killer, and I get
For some Cheerios?
Well, no, because the one thing I hate is rich people not giving at Christmas. So every Christmas I go on a killing spree, killing all the rich people who are just rich and they don't give enough to people. And I get caught and then I got executed. But luckily, my girlfriend is a witch. So she gets a spell and she raises me from the dead. But she's not a very good witch, because she doesn't do what you should always do, and this is a schoolboy error. You should read it first, at least twice. Okay.
Always double, triple check.
Oh, definitely.
So she does it, and so what she doesn't realize is that she can raise my soul, but it's got to go into something, and it goes into something which is about the same body weight and height as me, which is the Christmas tree. And then I become alive as the Christmas tree, and then I decide not only do I have to continue my killing spree, now I'm back alive again, but I also have to take revenge on everybody who testified against me at my trial. So then
well, as somebody who used to do tree work for a living, I would hate to cut down that tree.
Definitely. But yeah,
luckily I wasn't the one in the tree. It was my boss, but it's like, man, that would be a sucky day at work.
Yeah, and that also wasn't very tremendous.
Yes. And of course, it's a Christmas tree, but the Christmas lights still work, even though I'm walking around. I drive a car. I do all sorts of things.
That tree should not be doing.
People shoot me with shotguns, and obviously that's useless because it just goes straight through me.
Right. But yeah, if you.
So yes. So that's a now unfortunately, it's probably not 12-year-olds, because there's certain discussions in it, and then so which is a shame, because it would have been fun if 12-year-olds could watch a killer Christmas tree go around and do stuff. But yeah,
you missed my joke earlier. I sit there, so he plays a serial killer, right?
Yeah.
No, to some Cheerios.
Oh.
That is funny. So yeah, serial killer, killing the cereal box.
Well,
yes.
I did a.
Why not?
I did a short film once. It was I just thought it'd be funny to call it serial killer, but spell it like cereal.
Cereal.
Be eating cereal, but then you hear the cereal screaming.
That's a good idea. That's
YouTube
fun.
did it. Well, YouTube didn't like it that too much.
Oh, I can imagine why.
Anyway,
yes. So, where else do you want to go? Oh, I'll tell you what was the big surprise. The big surprise was putting on that prosthetic. That was really tough, which I didn't expect to be tough. I thought, oh right, yeah, they slap it on. Well, it's not that it takes an hour and a half to put on. It's very, very thin latex, and it's literally glued to your face, so it moves with your face, and you're thinking, fine, okay, that's not a problem. Then why is that a problem? And it becomes a problem when they glue around your nose. so you can't breathe through your nose anymore. So then you think, okay, I'll breathe through my mouth. Well, okay, that's fine for the first 3 or 4 hours, but then after that, then it becomes a little bit problematic. If you're eating or drinking anything, then of course you've got to quickly eat or drink, quickly chew it and swallow it before you can breathe again. So you're going, okay, I'm getting used to this, but it's very frustrating. But the problem comes is when you need to blow your nose, because
Ooh.
first of all, it gets very hot in there,
Oh, I imagine.
and you start perspiring, and then of course, because this is all glued up, you start perspiring and it starts filling up with that. Then of course you can't blow your nose either. So once the whole nose cavity is filled up and you can feel it squashing in there because the beak comes out here, so you can feel it, and you still can't breathe through your nose, but then you're talking like this, and then it's, oh god, this did they do. So after 12 hours, it's bad. After 14 hours, it really becomes a struggle. So when they finally,
and not to mention, if you're perspiring, I mean, obviously you smell so greatly fresh. So
Yeah, especially with all that.
that is actually the least of your problems. It was tough, and whew. So I mean, it works for me because, of course, Al luckily is always in a bad mood. So you just let that come out.
Right.
You can spit out your lie. It's in your body language. It's in the way that you're dealing with it, because that's the life you are actually leading at that moment. You can let it flow over you and let it happen. It's a very method thing, and it's fine because I was taught in that school, so it worked for me, but I didn't anticipate it. Also, it's a very, very uncomfortable. A lot of people find it claustrophobic. I didn't care about that. It was uncomfortable though, because of course, after about the first 4 or 5 hours, the glue starts coming off and delaminating. And then it all kind of gets itchy and scratchy, but you can't scratch it because it's underneath, and so the whole thing becomes tough. So it's a entirely new level of appreciation I have for people like Michael Dorn in Star Trek, where he's got the Worf prosthetic on, and I know what it's like now, and so I know that it's not just a mask. It is it's something which you then have to, right, no, that happened once, so now the next time you're kind of, okay, I'm ready for it now, and then they put it on, and okay, I'm kind of getting used to it, but you never get used to it because it's a headache, but it works for the character. Because Worf is always in a bad mood as well, isn't he? So that works. That works for him too.
Kind of reminds me of when Burgess Meredith played the Penguin, and and he was smoking, but he knew that he would start coughing if he was smoking constantly, so he made the smoking when he started coughing. He made it part of the character, and made it kind of a penguin sounding noise. So, it's just as actors, you guys got to just adapt to the whatever situation. So
well, yeah, and in the method we call it a gift, because what's happening is you're getting something for free. Your circumstances are causing some situation, but if you then mesh that in with the character, then all of a sudden you've got this character trait, and that you've just got for free. Right. Because when you're reading the script, you're you're reading it again and again and again when you're learning the lines, obviously, but you're reading it again and again, and as you read it again and again, you start getting a deeper understanding. And oh right, yeah, there's this, and there may be this in his life, and this, and you know the character in intricate detail, and you create it, and then you bring it to the set. But then you get these other things which you can never anticipate, because you can't anticipate what something is like before you've experienced it. And so it's like, whoa, here we go, this is fantastic, this is something for free. And
Yep.
and that smoking thing is, wow, that just then becomes a character trait. When if you were to think of it sitting there in your bedroom in bed reading the script, reading it, you'd think, okay, yeah, there's an idea, but that's a bit far-fetched. That's almost as if it's not really an idea. What you're trying to put something in to make it more interesting. It's not actually from a place of truth.
Right.
You know, maybe if you were a student, you might do that, but then when you get more experienced, you go, oh no, that's been put in because I thought, ooh, I should put something in to impress my teacher, kind of thing, rather than actually there is a good reason for it. And so I can imagine students doing that. But when then it is enforced upon you, and you're going, right, I'm not acting here. This is what is happening to me. So now this is part of the penguin, or this is part of the owl, and
Certainly.
and then it is coming from a place of truth because it is true.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, it is, yeah. And as far as the makeup thing goes, I feel like that it definitely can, help to build resilience in somebody, like to sit for that long, having to deal with the patience of getting the makeup on, and then resisting that urge to itch it. And
mm,
yeah, and I completely get it because my first movie that I ever did, I was a zombie, and it was out in the middle of the heat, wearing dark clothing and having all this makeup on my face. And there actually would come some times like where some of the paint like on the makeup on my head actually would like then and then it would become into sweats because it was in the heat. I can imagine that you've probably had experiences
yeah,
like that.
absolutely, yeah, and it's like that. So you've experienced it, and it is anything about it. But what you're not meant to do is spoil it, and then somebody has to then come and touch it up, because that takes time. And the
It
one
does.
thing there is you don't have on film sets is time, because everybody
So,
has to go. I mean, the location is booked from this time to this time, and you have to wrap at this time, because if you don't, then the production is in for a
trouble.
lot of extra money, and you don't want to be the reason for that extra money being spent. So time is vitally important. So you don't
Uh-huh.
want to be the one who spoils it all for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, yeah, because if you do, it then will reflect badly on you. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also, you do, it's just you don't want to let people down. You want to do your best,
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
and and that's yeah.
Well,
You,
I mean, there's that infamous picture of, you know, they said Robert Englund, after doing Freddy Krueger for years, would sit there at the end of the day, just rip the makeup off because it
mm.
was just so.
Oh yeah. At the end of the day, of course, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
and then people would sit there and start collecting it. You know, like I got, I got,
I'm
I
not
got,
surprised.
I got Freddy's ear.
Or
Speaking of
I have his nose.
speaking of Van Gogh earlier.
I actually have a part of the rabbit costume from Bunny the Killer Thing. Now I wasn't the rabbit. I was just a normal person. I was the kidnapper. I was the one who was going around kidnapping celebrities and bringing them to this secret lab
So,
um,
is that
in the middle of the forest. So I wasn't, but for some reason at the end, the rabbit costume kind of started falling apart, and then there were bits that were kind of ripping off. And so rather than it going in the bin, I picked a piece up and I have it. And the director didn't even realize. I saw the director about 4 years or 5 years later. I think he was passing through London. So I went to Heathrow and I met him for 2 or 3 hours before his next connection. And I brought it with me. I know it's mad because it's still about this big. So I brought it with me. I'm going, look, I've still got this. And he goes, what? Where did you get that from? I'm going, no, I picked it up. It's legendary, you know. I mean, it means nothing to anybody apart from a very few select people, and I'm one of them, because it's a memento of that time, that mad time. 33 days in where it was so cold that your breath freezes on your face, and if you get a bit of washing up liquid and blow a bubble, then the bubble freezes in the air as a bubble, and then it lands on your hand, and then it takes about 10 seconds before it then goes and melts. And I've never been anywhere as cold. I vowed to myself that I would never say I was cold again after that, and I've tried to stick with it.
Yeah,
which is completely understandable.
But talking about the makeup, I tell you what was the worst. At one point, I had to play this character, and they had to give me a beard. So they had that gum, which then they glue the beard on. And I'm really ticklish. And that was unbearable because it was just tickling, and of course you can't scratch it, but you had to, and it was unbearable, and I had to have that on all day. And I think there were 2 days on set. That was worse than any other makeup situation.
Oh, I can imagine, and especially with that beard, you know, there's all that hair, and yeah, I mean, resisting that would be a lot harder,
especially if he's ticklish.
Yeah, yes, I know. I know. It was unbearable. And the worst thing is that with Al, it got better because you just got used to it. Whereas this, it got worse because you're meant to be relaxing, and then you go home and go to sleep. But I wasn't, because from the moment they took it off, I was dreading the next day when they'd start putting it on again. So I couldn't even relax properly.
Well, it's a good thing. Good thing he's not there's two benefits to that. You weren't in West Virginia, because it's in West Virginia it is illegal to tickle women, apparently. So you don't have. So luckily he doesn't have to worry about that because he's a dude. But in West Virginia, that's a law. In West Virginia, it is illegal to tickle women.
Wow.
That's so absurd that it's funny.
I think even in that same state, one of them, first of all, if any actor can do this, I mean, I would say they just need here, you can have it. If you can do this, in that same state, it is also, it's one of those states in that area. I think it might be, it's either Virginia or West Virginia, but it's like whistling underwater is also illegal.
How can you whistle underwater?
I can even do. Yeah, I know, exactly.
Yeah, so that's why I say, if anybody could do that, here, you can just.
Yes. And why would you want to?
Exactly.
Where is the? Where is the motivation?
There you go. There's his next acting part: whistling underwater.
Go for it. Might as well.
Yes.
Wow.
Pretending you're a dolphin or something. I mean,
well, maybe if he plays Echo the Dolphin.
Yeah. Yeah,
well,
or it could be like another sequel to Dolphin Tale. Well, like it could be like an origin story.
Speaking of other a lot of big name characters are about to go into public domain. Is there anyone that maybe you have an interest in playing?
Characters.
Because there's a lot of big characters that are about to go public domain. So like, I mean, somebody's going to do it. Bugs versus Mickey at some point. So.
Oh right, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't want to say anything because maybe somebody will make it and it will be good. But I think you've got to have some sort of idea about what you're going to bring to the table or something like that. Yeah, there's no point in just doing it because there needs to be as long as the story is there has to be a story.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm just surprised. I can't wait till somebody announces it because Popeye goes public domain next year. So.
Oh really?
So Popeye.
I'm not going to be surprised if someone turns that into a horror movie.
Oh yes. Yes. Now that would, you can fairly quickly start thinking about stories there, and so, but yes, it's a
even Betty Boop is going to go public domain here shortly, so I mean that one would be interesting to see.
Yeah, and I mean, even the original Mickey Mouse short went public domain back in January, which was a pretty big deal considering that was supposed to go public domain a really long time ago, and knowing that short is the reason why it takes so long for someone to finally go into the public domain. And so knowing that it finally did was pretty huge.
Yeah, and how now there's Mickey. Now now Disney is still trying to get it with an iron fist because that they just had to call it Mousetrap.
Oh right, yes.
And so.
I mean, do what you got to do, just to overcome those legal loopholes because nobody wants to get sued.
No.
Well, especially by Disney.
Yeah.
A juggernaut like that, yeah.
Oh, kind of juggernaut right now, losing. If you add it up, about $158 billion, but.
Whew.
Well, I mean, regardless, though, I mean, it is a name that everyone knows.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, anyway, so, I get, you said you studied for a long time. What did you really do before that, if you don't mind asking?
Right. Oh, I all sorts of stuff. I mean, I was originally going to be an aerospace engineer.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, fine, good, but there's not a great deal of glamour in it. I'm still a fan, but there is when you want to perform, then you've got to try and do that. But it can be really difficult sometimes because there is a view that if you want to do anything else as well, then you should not become an actor. And I get why people say that, but that would be a terrible thing to say to me. So luckily I didn't take any notice of that. But I get why they say it to other people, and then this becomes problematic then, because you're thinking to yourself, well, is this good advice or not? And for me it's not, but for a lot of people it is. So how do you tell? It can be a real poser. But there are a lot of people who who wants to be an actor, and or indeed anything in the film industry, or any performance. I mean, people say the same thing about musicians as well. But it, I would never say don't do something. I would say go and do it. But then a lot of people would say that I was irresponsible by saying that. I don't go. I can be irresponsible if I like.
I mean, I think everyone can to some extent, and well, there's this whole notion now of right now, oh, don't follow your dreams and everything, which I think is absolute baloney, because it's like
terrible. Yeah,
because it's like, what? Yeah, I mean, people told speaking of Disney early, one of the things somebody told him when he was just to get a job in the funnies, said you can't draw.
Mm.
And,
oh yeah, I know. So people will always say things like that to you, and the problem is that it's easy to believe them, but it's like, I don't care whether I can draw or not. But you have to have this irreverent attitude. But it's very difficult when everybody is saying, oh no, you don't want to do that, or you don't want to do that because that's difficult. It's like, kind of, since when is that been a good reason not to do something? That's the worst reason. Oh, it's difficult. All right, so you just want to do something that's easy then, do you? Yeah. I mean, actually, if you're going to do anything well, whatever it may be, even if you're good at it, it should be difficult.
Okay. Hey, JFK said we choose to do stuff not because it is easy, but because it is hard. So,
Yeah, and that's the next stage. Yes, and it's right. No, okay, because otherwise, every idiot can do it. If it's easy, then you can just drag the idiot off the street and say, right, okay, well, you do it. And so, right, so then what quality does anybody ever achieve?
Yeah, you could grab some brand. I mean, it's happened in entertainment. Yeah, if it's so easy, you could just grab some random hobo off the street, say, you're an actor now. I mean, it's happened before, and it turned out good, but it's like, no, I don't want to see some random guy on the street because, do it,
Yeah, and also a lot of people will. One thing that slightly irritates me is some actors who try and pretend that, oh, it all comes naturally to me. And I was just walking down the street one day, and all of a sudden, and you also get this from models as well, whereby it's, oh yeah, no, I was discovered whilst cutting somebody's hair, and it's like, don't give me all of that. No, like, that's not the way the world works. You have been planning this, or like, there's been a concerted effort to actually do it, and so I never buy any. I never buy it when anybody says, "Oh right, yeah, you know what? It's just I was just sitting there, typing on my computer, and the next thing I know, I don't give me all that baloney."
Yeah. I mean, it has happened before, like where people randomly discovered, like I know Lana Turner was discovered in a soda pop shop, but she
was.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she, she didn't really have much of an interest in acting, is what she said, but obviously she took the opportunity, so she must have had something.
Mm.
And then even the girl from Transporter 3 was a hairdresser, and from what I gathered, it seems like the director he did her hair and he did his hair, and then he just like, oh, I like you. Like, you want to be in my movie? Like, that does happen sometimes, but it's
okay. Okay. To be fair, that does happen. Yeah.
But then it's like that way. It's like the director sitting there, like, what are your intentions? Why did you pick this random girl to be in your movie? You know, and Transporter 3, not really one of the, I mean, you know, not the best in the franchise. So,
Yeah, and and it goes back to what you were saying about how all these people will discourage you. And I mean, nobody's gonna believe in you until you believe in yourself.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. But it's different. But you see, the thing is, if you look at it logically, you're thinking, "Oh, right, I've got no experience in this. Right, I'm doing, for the last few years, I've been doing such and such. I'm pretty good at it. I've got no experience in doing this new thing, but I want to do it. Everybody says that I'm rubbish at it, but I still want to do it. But it's a, logic dictates that this is a terrible idea, but you've got to put that aside and go, you know what, I want to do it, and I'm going to, and I can only get better by doing it
Right.
and continuing to do it.
Well, it's amazing when you realize how many actual professional actors out there still go to acting school, you know?
Oh yeah, you need to keep yourself sharp. It is so important, because otherwise it it it, it degrades. You need to keep yourself up, and then of course there's always new things to learn, not only about the actual craft itself, but also about yourself. Every day you're one day older, and you've got one day's more experience, and it's incremental over a period of 2 or 3 years. Of course, you can go, oh yeah, in those days I was there, but it doesn't happen in 2 or 3 year increments. It happens in daily increments,
Well,
and so you have to constantly remind yourself of who you are, and you've got to work to do that. And if you're not working, then you need to be in class, and
right.
and keep yourself sharp. If you're an athlete, there's no point in just playing the big games.
Yeah,
You have to you have to train every day, because
exactly.
otherwise everything just falls apart.
That's one of the
And
reasons why I heard that Michael Jordan, you know, he would sit there. Yeah, he was a big player, but he would sit there sometimes go to a random basketball court, and then like all the kids would be like, "Oh my gosh, it's Michael Jordan! You know, he's playing with us, but he's practicing." You know, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, like even some big actors like Al Pacino admitted that he still goes to acting school. You know, and he's Al Pacino, so
I
you
think
know.
he actually has got a
Oh
member of his entourage,
yeah,
and because you need somebody on your back all the time, because otherwise you get lazy. You need somebody to keep you going, and also it doesn't have. We're not necessarily talking about inventing something new or doing something sophisticated or going, right, you know what, I'm going to do that Alec Baldwin scene in what's that one where he's the salesman and he comes in and he goes, right, we're going to have the steak knives and Glen Ross. Yes. So yeah, okay, yes. So you can go, right, you know what, I'm going to do that Alec Baldwin monologue in that. Okay, fine. So that's very, very sophisticated work, and you will do it your own way. You're not going to copy him, because there's no point in doing that. You're not learning anything if you're just copying.
right.
But it's not the question of doing that. It's doing the simple things, right? Okay, I'm going to go back to basics. And as I say, it's the same with sport. It's like kind of back to basics, simple stuff. Jing, 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 jing. And it all, because it's all in there within you. So you might just be doing the basic work, but that stuff that you used to do when you were first learning, but your your subconscious is still going through the the processes that you have learned all over the years since then. But it's back to basics, and that's the same. Whatever, yeah, I mean acting, but in sport, in everything, it's like, okay, we're going to go back to basics.
Oh yeah.
And that's what it is. Yeah. Actually, you've reminded me of that big long monologue. I'm going to look it up after this. I'm going to look it up and go, right, you know what? Yeah, that will be cool.
Yeah.
Let's do that. All
right. Well, I mean, I enjoy acting and everything. I'm not, I'm more like the Hollywood mogul type of, but I respect the actors, and because I have gotten parts for one time. Eric, I don't think I've told you this one. We did a play of Jaws. I got cast as Quint.
Wow,
that's pretty awesome.
So that is cool.
So, but the teacher didn't like how I played it. I decided to play it drunk.
Oh God!
Because
that's funny.
It makes sense. So here I am,
Teacher's going, what the hell are you doing? First of all, the teacher's going to go, well, hang on, are you drunk? When then it's like, no, I'm not. What are you doing?
I did. To me, this is at school, so they really didn't like this. It was empty. It was empty, but I took my grandpa's empty PBR can. Just.
Oh God.
It was a prop, it was empty. It's not
like
drinking in school, right? And I said, look, it's empty. And I sit there, pour it out and everything, and I made sure it was empty, But it was a prop. So yeah.
That's amazing.
That was fun. They even cast me as a Birdie in Bye Bye Birdie, so I got to do I kind of more played it as an actual rock star,
That's amazing.
Because what are actual rock stars known for?
Yeah.
Started sniffling my nose.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that you're being pretty nosy about it.
Hey, brilliant.
There was more some maybe behind the scenes. There was more some white powder.
That's amazing.
And then of course you have to reset it all the time. Going, oh no, hang on a minute, right, I think it's come off.
Speaking of resetting,
what the hell is he doing? Right.
Right. That teacher really didn't like that much. Of course, small town Kansas, not understanding. Sometimes, my whole thing, when I did the stage work, it was more just like, have fun, because,
Yeah, I know. And it's bring all of this to it. I mean, then the teacher will go, what makes you think that this is a valuable addition to the character? What do you say? And it's like, oh, right, yeah, no, because this is what I think. This is what I think. And it's okay. Well, we'll go with it. But we've got to, but you're going to have to make it work.
Right.
Because you've decided this now. So now you have to make it work.
Right.
That would be a better way of dealing with it rather than to start.
Well, I think I just told her, she even asked me, like, this is high school. So I'm like, me remembering, it's like, if you're fishing on a boat, waiting for hours, what are you going to be doing?
That's amazing.
And then you're first of all, you're with a Smokey,
Mm-hmm.
And then you're with the know-it-all scientist. I think you're going to be doing some drinking,
Yeah. See that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, see, there we go. That's it.
And then when I played the Birdie thing, it was like, well, he's a rock star. What do most rock stars do?
They party, get drunk, and
then
all the rest of
it. Well, hey, what's that old saying? Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean,
So yeah, so now that we're on the topic of music, I can see that there's a piano behind you. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, see, I am very slowly learning. I I do a bit of guitar. I sing, and I, I, I,
hey,
I play the bass as well. Where's the bass? The bass is there,
yeah. Oh,
and
hey,
and my guitar is there, and so I mean, I try my best. I mean, I think it's quite good, and
right.
it's
So,
and it's not my area of expertise, but it's what I do. And whenever I mean, I think I know, I think I know a decent amount about music and how to put it
well,
together, everything, so I can have a chat with real professional musicians.
mhm. Hey,
And
hey,
I say,
Eric.
well, you see, the thing is that you've been playing all night. When I do it, it's a totally different kettle of fish because I don't have to play a song from beginning to end
Mhm.
because when I'm recording, I do okay. I'll do this section, then I'll do this section, then I'll do this section, then I'll do this section, etc., etc. And I'm doing all the instruments as well. So of course I've got to do them all separately,
Mhm.
and so I put it together like that. I've got an idea about what I want, and then I do it, and then oh, I'm going to
Well,
change this, I'm going to change that, so I'm going to go back and change that, or and then you finish it, and then you think,
well,
oh right, you know what, I can put this in. So then you go back and you do that, and then you get the next version, etc., etc. So I'm saying, so there was never a situation where I play anything from beginning to end all in one go. And last time I said that, then the guitarist I was talking to, he goes, well, I'll tell you a secret. I don't either when
mm,
I'm recording. It's like we never play everything from the beginning to the end all at one go.
there,
We do it in sections as well. And I'm
right.
going, yeah, okay, I get that. But the fact is, you can because you just have all night. Okay, so
Right.
I mean, the
Yep.
thing,
exactly.
Hey, Eric, when he gets good at the piano, maybe you guys can have a piano off, right?
Yeah, which is really funny because I have been playing the piano like for 20 years now. So, but yeah, it's just ever since I started college and all this other stuff, I just haven't had as much time, which I can imagine that you probably relate with trying to
yeah,
find
yeah,
time to
exactly,
play your piano
exactly,
and all that.
So,
yeah,
see, I guess go on the music subject. We've mentioned like rock before, but
and
like,
and and, it, and
what are
it's
some, what are some rock bands or bands in general you're you're a fan of?
that I well, I mean, I mean, the Pearl Jam is
Heck yeah.
that is my vibe really, which you would know. But then I mean, the other bands you might not know, things like, but I mean, there are loads, obviously. But if I just come off the top of my head, it's bands like The Mission, the Wishbone Ash. Do you guys remember Wishbone Ash?
I think
From
probably one of us heard one of their songs we might remember. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, but but
But I'm a
I went to see the Midnight recently. I was expecting it to be this sort of synth pop kind of thing, and I know that's what the records are like, but it's not like that at all. It it it's fab. It's like wow. Come on, they start playing the first song, and then the guitarist is there doing double tapping on kind of. I'm going,
wait. So
what what's going on? This is
so
fabulous.
so
What's
like
going on
Eddie.
here?
So he's
I wasn't
playing.
expecting to
So he's
like
playing
this.
like Eddie, huh?
Yes, it was absolutely fantastic, and that can surprise you. So that's why I like going to gigs sometimes. I mean, because when I've got no idea what's going to happen, because sometimes you are surprised. Sometimes you enjoy it, even though it's not your thing.
So
In any case, so yeah, uh, and then it's
I
all the old classics like AC/DC, and
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I've done a few. I've done a few Sisters of Mercy covers, and as well, and
Bon Scott, AC/DC, or Brian Johnson?
oh right, but well, I mean, look, Bon Scott was dead and gone before I was even aware of them, really.
Yeah, but I mean,
To be fair.
me too. But like, I think I could say that Bon Scott. I no disrespect to Brian Johnson, but I gotta go with Bon Scott. Because he just had that. He had that attitude.
He had a flair about him, didn't he? Yeah.
Oh yeah, and
He was great. I was like, I've only seen AC/DC once, but that was a gig and a half. That was at Donington, 1991. That was AC/DC, supported by Metallica.
wow.
And then
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then it was
my dad.
Black Crowes. I can't remember who else it was.
My dad I know my dad got to see Ozzy with Metallica in the early '90s.
Wow.
And
I've seen Ozzy about 100 times.
Speaking of that, we say every time we mention Ozzy, hang in there, Oz. Come on, you can do it. Like go on to tour now. He sit there says he wants to, if he has to, he'll tour in a wheelchair. Like how rock and roll would that be, right?
I mean, he can. Last time I saw him, he really was shuffling about, sort of like this, and you start getting slightly worried, going, okay, will he last? First time I saw him was 1992, and he's still going now, but you just worry he's not going to keel over halfway through the gig.
Well, I mean, that's why you have the wheelchair, right? Just have him.
Yeah. You can sit in the wheelchair.
Like have him sit there. Have it like little motorized one where he can sit there, like move it around.
He can. Yeah. He can sit in a wheelchair. That would work.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Make it, and like. So I just say, Sharon, come on, get Ozzy to tour in a wheelchair, like, and you could. You could call it like you could literally just call it the wheelchair tour, just embrace it,
Oh, God.
Yeah, and I definitely do feel like that name, it definitely has like that marketable name.
Well,
yeah.
No, even better. You could just call it the chair tour.
You could, yeah.
And have it, like you could, I mean, because I'm like, man, because he, that guy, like, I can't, what? I can't wait to see the Ozzy movie when they make an Ozzy movie, because there's so many stories about that guy.
There are,
like, and you know what? I mean, I'm just saying, I might throw our guest name in the hat to play Ozzy.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
I mean, because can you do the voice?
I can, but yeah. Well, I mean, he's going. I don't know, Sharon. What's happening? What's happening? I don't really know what's happening. Right. So.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
So we've got that. Yeah, I could. Yeah. That would be fun.
That would be, because playing Ozzy Osbourne would be anybody who gets that role for the Ozzy movie is like, wow, because that's going to be on a lot of people's attention, and
Definitely.
And so sad. But my dad, when he sit there, said he saw him with Metallica. Ozzy was on his worst behavior. That when he saw him, and he mooned everybody.
Yeah.
That's a sight that you will never forget.
Yeah. Well, he also said that I guess Metallica sat there and said they said, well, because they were making fun of Ozzy because this was the No More Tours tour.
Oh yeah.
And they said, he even sat there and says, yeah, no more tours. Right. Even back then, they were saying
Sure.
it. So, I mean, no, but the thing I find, no, I mean, there's so many great musicians out there, and like I have been trying to get into some like more new rock, because trying to listen to them, like, but the biggest problem I've realized is a lot with modern rock singers is that the band overall is good, but the singing is the problem. Like the singer is the most important part of the band.
Yeah.
And like it's like I'm giving constructive criticism. Mammoth WVH, Wolf Van Halen. I love you. You're the son of Edward Van Halen, but you're like your dad. You're not a lead singer.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned Pearl Jam. Any other grunge bands you like? I mean, Alice in Chains is pretty good.
Oh yeah. I don't think they've toured for ages though, have they?
Maybe, I don't know. Or Soundgarden.
Yeah, Soundgarden is fabulous.
Yeah,
and because there was a few bands that they all sort of mixed and matched all the musicians, didn't they?
right.
There were various things that came out, like Temple of the Dog and stuff. Yeah, it's all really good stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's what I love about rock. Rock is slowly making a comeback. So
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Because, I mean, there's the band Greta Van Fleet that's out there right now. People said the biggest problem is they sound like Led Zeppelin. I'm like, is that a bad thing? Like, how you're criticizing somebody because they sound like Led Zeppelin? Tell me how that's a bad thing. And then, so, I mean, but I like Greta Van Fleet. I'll listen to them. And, I was listening to one band. It was The Warning. It's this, like, three sisters that all play rock in a rock band together. We'll see how long they last because, not just, I mean, the Wilson sisters always have to take a break from each other because, as I tell me, they say, well, why did they always take a break? I'm like, would you want to tour nonstop with your brother or sister? Eric?
Guess it depends on how well you get along with them.
I don't think it matters. I don't think that really matters. I mean, come on, Eric, you and your brother get along, but would you want to tour nonstop with your brother for maybe 365 days a year? Maybe get Christmas and holidays off?
Well, I guess everybody does need their space.
Exactly. Because even there's that old saying, family, but. Because I love my brother, but if we had a band together, if he's watching this talk, I love you, but I'm not touring with you for a long period of time, because he's a pretty cool guy, but you sit there, get on a tour bus with people, somebody's gonna chaos ensues. I mean, if you read The Dirt or seen The Dirt, the movie, we all know what happens sometimes on tour buses.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So is there anything upcoming for you on that you would want to have the audience be aware of?
I think there's two things which are coming up, which is going to be a lot of fun. I know already, but I don't have the script yet. But I also know that it's going to be a lot of fun. And the first one will be Pooniverse Monsters Assemble.
I heard about that.
So what it is it's all the monsters in the Pooniverse are going to be getting together to deal with some issue in a sort of Avengers style situation. That's all I know. And I don't even know whether that's right. But I do know also that they don't necessarily all get along with each other.
That will make things interesting.
Well,
Exactly. So
well,
that's throws something else in the mix. So there is that. So that is going to be filming next year,
Awesome.
and
wow.
then after that, there will be Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 3.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
And so yes, more, and yes, and we're promised more, even more interest, more things piled in, more situations. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Of course, I'm Owl. I go, "Right, how can you not look forward?" Yeah, so that's just mega, and so there's a lot of Owl stuff happening. So
Who?
that
Well, that's exciting.
yeah, so that's all very, very exciting too.
Yeah. So, are you allowed to share much about the third Winnie the Pooh movie, or if not,
Well,
then you get it?
well,
RG.
no, but I know nothing in any case. Well, that wasn't
Fair.
going to give away. Yeah, even if I knew the story, then I wouldn't give it away because then that's
Well,
giving
hey.
away the story.
Hey,
But
it's
I
okay.
don't. I don't have anything, and I don't know anything in any way. So all of that will emerge as soon as I start getting the scripts in. But of course, the whole point is people go and see it, and it's all a surprise rather than ooh, such and such is probably going to happen. So it's not going to be any kind of such and such is probably going to happen. You're going to have to turn up and be surprised on the day.
Awesome.
That's the fun of it.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise, there's no fun in the first place.
Mhm. Well, hey, I mean, that sounds all exciting. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what all they do with this whole franchise because,
Mm,
who knows? Maybe they could do it. Art versus the Winnie the Pooh gang, right?
well, could be,
That would be
Yeah.
awesome.
could
Yeah.
be, because it is now a universe.
Right?
I mean, it's the Twisted Child universe, but
Um,
it is so it's the TCU, which is the formal name of the universe,
right.
but the informal name is it's the Pooniverse.
Right.
So you know,
what do you? I'll just say this. To people who sit there and like criticize, oh, this is not really the, how they're making fairy tales out of horror movies. I'm like, you do realize that fairy tales were originally dark back in the day.
yes, I know
Which is
Like,
exactly.
like read the original Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah,
Where
and
the wolf was not a wolf; it was a human.
Oh, I was not aware of that.
Yes, so it was human. We interpreted wolf as predator, and so wolf.
right.
That is fair.
So think about it. Like there's a line in the original Winnie the Pooh. So keep that in mind. It's a human. In the original, I said, yeah, Little Red Riding Hood, where she's the wolf says, "Come in bed with me, my dear, and take your clothes off." Like, oh wow.
Whoa,
So
that's
Right,
dark.
you see, I was about to say, only I'm not going to say it now because it sounds awful. I was about to say what you were asking. Oh yeah, what would you like to play? And I'm thinking, hey, the wolf. That would be cool. That would be cool. But now you've said what you've said. It's not quite as cool anymore, right?
Definitely
Well,
not.
So we'll kind of.
hey, to be fair, hey, how many actors have actually played that type of character? So
That is fair.
Yeah,
Unless if they took that line out, or if they altered it to something close to it.
right, but and then like you read Hansel and Gretel, and it's like, oh my gosh, because they never in the original versions it was always the mother, not the stepmother. The mother sits there and says to her husband, "Hey, let's just abandon our children to the woods because there's a famine. We can always have more." Like, oh, great! That's a great mother.
Whoa. Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly. So yeah, so they were dark, and I know that
Or
there's the other thing. There's the Cinderella that gets all get crazy at the end,
oh yeah,
and
well, Cinderella, one of the stepsisters cuts her heel off, and then the other one cuts her toe off, and then they die because they get their eyes pecked up by crows. So,
yes,
oh gosh,
yeah,
that's horrific.
yeah,
so it's
and they
like,
have these iron shoes, which then are glowing red with heat, and then they're gonna put into that. Oh, phew, yeah,
so
yeah. So it all gets.
I've said this. Honestly, these horror movies that are based on the actual fairy tales, and even Winnie the Pooh. Like, I don't think Winnie the Pooh, from what I remember, the books were just happy-go-lucky. But it kind of, they were meant to be fairy tales. So, and that also kind of goes back to the roots of fairy tales in a way. So
Yeah, certainly. And even in the Little Mermaid, in the original story, it was significantly darker in the original story, like how Ariel's actually dying like while watching Ursula marry the man that she loves, and rather than losing her voice, he and then cuts her tongue off instead. So yeah, I mean they significantly
well,
sugarcoated it for the Disney
well,
version.
even even the nursery rhyme. You know, um, you know, little, you know, little, Rosie, it's about the plague.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes,
Um,
yes,
so
yeah.
yeah, I
Because
mean,
people were just
who knows?
people were dying, and
Who
yeah.
knows? Maybe somebody will make a nursery rhyme out of that thing that happened in 2020. Then,
Never know.
Why not?
Eric, there
Yeah,
you go. Your next project.
yeah.
Yeah, certainly.
Make
Anyway,
a death metal rock song about it.
well, hey, there you go. That's your album, right?
That's my next project. Yeah. Oh, right, a concept
Go for
album based on that.
Yeah,
You know,
Al.
a bit like Slayer's "Rain in Blood,"
Yeah.
only. But oh,
There you go. You even have a great name for the band, Owl.
yeah. Why not?
Yeah, which
Why not?
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's ever taken that name, the Owls. I mean, maybe some British band that nobody's heard of, I would assume, but
Yeah,
Never know.
yeah. That's a brilliant idea. Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
Why not? Why
All
not?
right, well,
I mean, nobody
well,
owns
if I start-
nobody owns the word.
well, if I
Yeah.
start Junebug Records, I want my cut.
Yeah, and that I also just thought of this. What I also think would be cool whenever you go on stage, like if you wore like some sort of jackets, like that are basically are covered in like like owl feathers and all that.
Um,
You know what?
you know
A
what he has to
fan
cover? But you know
has
what he has to
written
cover, right?
an owl song.
You know what he has to cover, though, right? The song by The Who.
Who are you? Who?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you got
Who?
no. Somebody wrote an owl song, and of course, I mean, look, I'm here, so I have done a cover of it, and so yes, it's not finished because I keep on going back to it and making tweaks, or should I say tweets? But yeah. So it yeah. So there is an owl song that does exist.
All right. Well, I think we're all good. I guess we'll. There's, as the little scrolly thing here says, be sure to follow this guy on Instagram, and we also have merch, so you can go to Pop Pop Tees and buy it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sadly, we are working on trying to get it. We're only continental U.S. right now, but we're working on getting it outside the U.S. It's work in progress. So.
Oh, that's it. Everything takes time. Anything worthwhile takes time.
Oh yeah. So.
Yeah, of course.
But if if you happen to want a T-shirt, we'll work something out. So.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
totally cool.
certainly.
Cool.
So.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
All
That it
right.
has.
It's been a lot of fun sitting here, just having a good old chat.
Yeah.
That it has. Yeah.
That's the goal. Is
And
sit
it-
down. That's the goal.
and
Is
it-
sit down by the
and-
fire.
What we need to do is we need to go. We when Pooniverse Monsters Assemble comes out, we need to do it again. And
Oh
then we
yeah,
can-
Well,
absolutely.
hey,
and we can
cut
we
it.
can
Cut
talk
it
about.
cut it after this. No. Yes, I do agree. We need to do it with We need to do it with you, but we need to do it with everyone.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
awesome. Yes.
In
We cut
fact, I should have. Why didn't I think of that? I should have tried to get. Yeah, because I've done it before. I should, and maybe called up one or two of the others, and then whoever was available, they could have. Oh, what a shame! We could have done that. That would have been
when
fun.
Pooniverse assembles. Okay, Eric. Cut after this. When Pooniverse assembles, we'll hopefully get everyone.
Yes.
Okay.